Hello learners, welcome to this teleconferencing session, special teleconferencing session of Indira Gandhi National Open University. We are discussing about the dissertation component of MA Education program. Before starting this session, let me to introduce myself. I, Dr. Niradhar, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all on behalf of School of Education and on my personal behalf to this teleconferencing session on dissertation component of MA Education program. Today with us Professor Niradhar Das. He is the program coordinator of MA Education program. We both are coordinating this program. But if I will say about Professor Niradhar Das, he is the main architect of this program, this MA Education program. He has developed this program and he has experienced all the developments of this program in the last more than 1 decade. Definitely today we are in a very comfortable position. We are getting a good number of enrollment every year so far as this program is concerned. Every year we are getting more than 6,000 learners who are getting inducted to this program, and all credits goes to Professor Niradhar Das that he has conceptualized this program in a very proper way, in a very nice way at a time. So I welcome you, sir, to this teleconferencing session.
Thank you.
So friends, in our past session, just to recapitulate that we have discussed, that is, we have discussed about the objective of dissertation course. What are the very objective and very aim to include this dissertation course, this dissertation component in MA Education program, and what type of knowledge, what type of experiences this course will provide to the learners. So we have already addressed it in the past session of this teleconferencing, and further we have also discussed in the past session, that is the operational issues of dissertation course, that how the learners will pursue the dissertation course. Professor Das was telling, and I have also explained you that how you will proceed in your dissertation course, particularly in the first year or in the second year of your program. How you will prepare the research proposal, and you have to take the help or the guidance of your supervisor, of your guide for preparing the research proposal. And after preparing the research proposal, you are supposed to submit the research proposal at your concerned regional center, and your concerned regional center will evaluate your research proposal through our approved experts. And after evaluation of your research proposal, you will get an approval of your proposal. And after getting the approval of your proposal, your further work is to do the research so far as your nature of research problem is concerned. If it is a field-based study, you have to go to the field and you have to carry on your research work. You have to execute, you have to implement the research proposal that you have prepared. And after doing the research, your further work is to prepare the research report, and you will again take the help from your allotted guide. Your guide will help you that how you will prepare, how you will write the research report. And after preparing the research report, again you have to submit the research report at your concerned regional center. Many a time what we have observed, that the learners directly they are sending their research proposal as well as research report to School of Education IGNOU. So friends, we follow, we adopt a decentralized process so far as this dissertation course, dissertation component is concerned. We have 67 regional centers that has been spread across the country. So what you have to do, you have to submit your research proposal at the regional center, and again you have to submit your research report at the concerned regional center. So the evaluation of research proposal as well as evaluation of the research report will be done at your concerned regional center level. It is not in the main campus, it is not in School of Education. Okay, so please do not send your research proposal and a research report to School of Education IGNOU. Many a time we receive it, and again what we do, we just again send it to the learners or to the regional centers of your proposal, of your report. And further, in past session, just to recapitulate, we have also discussed what are the different support system that we provide to our learners for doing the dissertation work, for pursuing this dissertation course. It may be development of the handbook of dissertation and allotment of the guide, then conducting counseling sessions for the dissertation course, and further other regular teleconferencing, interactive radio counseling, and other sessions in different social media to address your queries. So that also we have discussed in the past session. And finally, we have also discussed about the evaluation of the dissertation course, how the dissertation course will be evaluated. Okay, so two components are there. One is the dissertation report, and other is the vivavas of the dissertation work. So minimum C grade is required in independent component in dissertation report as well as vivavas, and combined grade or the consolidated grade for this dissertation course is also required minimum C. So then you can say that you have successfully completed your dissertation course. So friends, after just recapitulating the past session, now let me to focus upon two important components that we are going to discuss in this session. One is the research proposal or the synopsis, how you will prepare the research proposal we will be discussing here, and further how you will write the research report, what are the different important things that you will keep in your mind when you write the research report, that also we will be discussing in this session. Now let me to invite Professor Niradhar Das to explain about the very purpose of writing dissertation synopsis or the proposal. So why do we prepare a research proposal? Why not we directly conduct the dissertation work? What is the importance and what is the need for preparing a research proposal or a research synopsis before doing the dissertation work, before doing the research work? Professor Das.
Thank you, Dr. De. When we talk of preparing a research proposal, whether it is for dissertation or for a PhD thesis work, this proposal is a very important component of any kind of systematic research. And when we talk of proposal, let us understand what is a proposal. It is just like a blueprint that we know this blueprint is prepared when we construct a house, when we construct a building, or when we are engaged in construction of a bridge or any kind of civil infrastructure. So that time the designated person who is called an architect, he or she before constructing this house or building or bridge comes out with some kind of blueprint. So blueprint is very important in any kind of construction, and this blueprint helps this engineer or the architect to really go about how that construction will take place. So this proposal is just like a blueprint and it helps the researcher, the student who is engaged in carrying out this research or dissertation work, how to go about, how to carry out this research, the directions he or she gets from this proposal. So therefore, it is said that if the proposal or the blueprint of research is prepared very carefully and very systematically and scientifically, then the half of this job in research work is over. And if your blueprint of the research or the proposal is having some kind of problem, loopholes, drawbacks, then naturally your research work will get distorted. And sometimes you may land up in a situation where what is to be done in actuality, you are doing something else. And that may be the question when you face the vivacy. Sometimes it may so happen that whatever was intended in your research problem, your proposal has not been deliberated properly. As a result, you have landed up in a situation where you have not carried out the research as per the requirement of the research problem, as per the demand of the research problem. Therefore, proposal preparation is one of the most important activities that a researcher must perform in the beginning of the researcher. It helps you complete direction about how to carry out the research, and the entire research work is conveyed through this proposal. So what is to be done first, what is to be done second, what is to be done third, all these stepwise functions involved in the research work, in the dissertation work, will be available in a proposal. So this is about the proposal, its importance in the research work. The point is that while developing or preparing the proposal, you must look into all its dimensions, components of the proposal, right from the very title of the research problem till all the steps of their complete up to your reference. Even you should have proper reference in your proposal. So this is about the purpose of writing a proposal. Then we come to the next thing is this first, when you write the proposal, the first page is very important, and the first page, what is to be written on the this front page of your proposal, the title of the problem, research problem, your name, the enrollment number, then regional center number, and regional center address, study center address, and your supervisor's name or guide's name. Then are the bottom of your this page, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University, and year of the work. If you are working in year 23, which month, all those things there. Okay. Now when we come to the title of the problem, it must be very, very clear. It must convey what is being intended in your research work. Basic objective, the main objective of your research must be conveyed through your title. And it must be comprehensive in nature, and it must not be too big, too lengthy. Too lengthy title is not advisable. It must be precise, short, meaningful, and having this clarity in its objective, in its direction. So all these things have to be fulfilled while writing the title of the problem. Then we come to the second.
Yes, thank you, Professor Das. Very rightly, you have explained about the very purpose of writing a synopsis or a proposal, and what purpose it serves. Just like it's called as a blueprint of the entire work, or it is also called as an exact replica of your work, the dissertation or the research that you will do, how you will proceed in your work in a very stepwise manner. So whatever things that you will be doing when you will be executing the research work, that guidelines you will get from the proposal. So that's why it's called as a proposal. Okay. So sir has also explained you that what are the different important information that should carry in the first page, or you can say the title page of your proposal. Just like the title, how you have to make your title researchable, how you will make your title meaningful, and what are the different important information that should come out from your title, from your research problem. Then your name, your guide name, then title I have already said, year of this work, then dissertation work and your program, MA education program, then of course the School of Education and your university, that is Indira Gandhi National Open University, and your guide name also. All such standard information it should carry the first page or the title page of your research proposal.
That is given in our handbook.
Yeah, that is given in this handbook. When you will go through this handbook of dissertation work, definitely you will find one page, one title page, that what standard information it should carry. So I request again, please go through this handbook on dissertation work. The soft copy version of this handbook is available in EGNOU course, and I think hard copy you have already received with your study material at the second year of your program. So friends, now let me to focus upon when you will prepare a research proposal, what are the different steps you have to include in your research proposal, how you will develop the research proposal, what are the steps that you will be following. Just like the first step, that is selection of a research problem. Okay, so how do you select the research problem? Further, you have to write an introduction. It may be in one page or it may be in 2 pages, about the context and justification of your study, about the theoretical construct of the research problem that you have selected, and the variable that you have included in your research problem. You have to explain, you have to you can say develop an introduction about the very philosophy and the very concept of the variables that you have included, that you have addressed in your research problem. So that's why introduction is one of the important important step of your research proposal in dissertation work. And further, delimitation of the study. The research problem that you have select, how you have to delimit it. Delimit means you have to reduce it from largeness to researchable form. Every research problem, if you will go through the title of the problem, it seems like it's a large problem. It addresses a huge area. So how you can delimit that large problem, huge area, to a small area where you can conduct the study. So that's why delimitation of the study is another important step of preparing the research proposal. Then a brief review of the related literature. Further, we will be discussing with detail that how you will develop the review of related literature. It means the earlier studies or the literature which is available, that means the report of the study, different research which is already conducted and which is already published. It may be in a journal, in a research paper form, or it may be a dissertation also, it may be a PhD thesis. So all such things that you have to study, and the review of related literature will really help you to understand the very status of the research problem that you have select, and further that will also help you to find out the research gap, and your work is to fill that gap by doing a new research. Okay, so that's why a brief review of related literature is another step. The need and importance of the study or the rationale or the justification of the study. Professor Das has already explained in the past session about how you can justify your study, how you can justify your research problem, whether your research problem is an worthy problem or not, is an important problem or not, is addressing the concurrent situation, the developing situations of the country, and whether it is related with educational issues or not. Many a time what you do, you select a research problem, but that problem is wholly related with the issues of education. Okay, so you have to very particular about when you are selecting a research problem, and if you select a good problem, then definitely you can justify, you can develop its rationality in the discipline of education, because anyhow you have to justify that this problem is an unique problem, an important issue so far as the discipline of education is concerned. Further, research questions, you have to write certain research questions. When you are going to conduct a study, definitely certain research questions are in your mind, so that you have to write that what are the different questions that comes to your mind, and the answers that you are exploring, you are just engaging yourself by conducting the study. You are trying to get the answer of those research questions. And for the objectives of the study, research is called as a systematic work and it is a scientific work. So without objectives we cannot conduct a study. So that's why your research proposal, your research synopsis should include the objectives of the study. The objectives of the study will help you to proceed in a very systematic way, that what are the different objectives are in your mind, and accordingly you have to collect data, and accordingly you have to analyze it, interpret it, and finally you have to reach at the findings. And you can also include the hypothesis of the study, if any. If you have hypothesis in your study, you can also here state certain hypothesis. And if there is no need of any hypothesis, if it is an explorative type of study, then without hypothesis you can also develop your research proposal. And the other important steps, just like research methodology or the research design, that includes what particular research method that you will be using in your research, then to define the population, the area of the study, and from the population how you are selecting the sample, and what sampling techniques you are using to select sample of from the population, whether it is a probability sample or a non-probability sample. That should be the part of your research proposal. And if possible, a clear-cut sampling frame also you can just project, you can just include in your research proposal. And for the tools and techniques for data collection, for doing the research you will be requiring certain tools, okay, certain instruments. So whether you have to use the standardized tool or self-made tool, you have to prepare as a researcher, you have to prepare the tool of your own, that you have to mention here, the title of the tool, and what are the different components of the tool, how many items will be there, and what types of information that you will be getting by using that tool. And further, after implementing the tool, after collecting the data, how you will analyze the data. If it is some extent quantitative in nature, what statistical techniques that you will be using for analyzing the data. Anyhow, you have to reach at the findings. So to analyze the data, you will be using certain technique. So if you are using the quantitative methods, if you are requiring the quantitative data, that means in terms of numbers, in terms of frequencies, in terms of average score, in terms of standard deviation, so definitely you will be using certain statistical techniques. Okay, so here statistical techniques used for data analysis is also one of the important step of your research proposal. Then procedure of data collection. So how you will collect the data in the field, when you will visit, whether you will visit the field with proper information to the subjects. So the process of data collection that you have to mention in your proposal. And finally, data analysis and interpretation. So how you will analyze the data, how you will interpret the data, the techniques of analysis you have to explain here. Then further, educational implications of the study. By conducting the study, the research problem that you have selected, the findings that you will get, how far these findings will be used, will be applied on different stakeholders. It may be on the students, it may be on the parents, it may be in the larger system of education, it may be on the teachers. Okay, so what is the implications of your study so far as different issues, different aspects of education are concerned, that you have to mention here. Then of course the references, that means the resources that you have used for preparing the research proposal, that is also another step in preparing the research proposal. So the list of the books, list of the encyclopedia, list of the journals that you have used for preparing the research proposal, that you have to make a list of it in your research proposal. And definitely, if it is possible, a time frame you can also give. As Professor Das said in our earlier session, that hardly you will find few months of your time in the second year for doing your dissertation work. So that's why you should be very particular that for preparing the research proposal, what time you will take, and for collecting data, what time you will take, for analyzing and interpreting the data, what time it will take, then for writing the report, what time will take, and finally you have to submit the report in time, okay, so far as academic session is concerned. So a dedicated time frame you're supposed to give. So these are the certain important steps that you're supposed to follow for preparing your research proposal. Now let me to address certain issues, that how to select the research problem, okay. So what are the different things that you're supposed to keep in your mind when you select the research problem? Now we will move just step to step, the steps that I have already mentioned. What are the different things that you will be doing in different steps? Just like for selecting a research problem, first of all you're supposed to go through the review of related literature. That means the studies relating to the research problem that you have selected, you have to go through the studies that have been conducted earlier. So friends, when we will go through the report of the studies that have been conducted earlier, you will get many information, you will get many data, that what type of research questions have been stated, what type of research hypotheses have been stated, and how the data have been collected, what type of tools have been used to collect data, and further how the data have been analyzed. So all such things, and most importantly, what are the objectives, then accordingly what are the important findings, okay. And when you will just correlate it with your research, then definitely you can provide certain newness, certain innovativeness to your research problem, to your research proposal, that these are the things that have been already conducted. You will get a clear-cut idea about the status of this research problem, and further that will help you to get out certain questions, that these are the certain questions which is unsolved, that questions are not solved, okay. Or when you will go through the review of related literature, you will find that certain things are not discussed in the earlier studies, so that you can address in your new study. So my friends, for selecting a good research problem, definitely you should go through the review of related literature. Then topic selected from different courses of your program. Many times students ask that from where we will select a research problem. So friends, let me to say, in your MA education program, in first year and second year of MA education program, if you go through different courses, you will engage with different educational discourses. So far as different prospective courses are concerned, different specialized courses are concerned in the second year, from there you can also get certain issues, certain research problem, and you can select a research problem for conducting your dissertation work. And many a time, being a researcher, you have engaged with the system. You might have your personal experiences also. If you are a teacher, if you are you can say, if you are working either in the formal system or in the non-formal system of education, you might have experienced many new things, okay. And personally, if you are very much interested that a dissertation work, a research may be conducted on this area, you can also select a problem from your own experiences, but that problem should be related with the education discipline and education practices, education discourses. Further, the research problem, it should be related to educational issues, maybe issues related with school education, higher education, teacher education, educational management, leadership, and many other aspects of education. Professor Das has already explained you that the research problem that you will select, it should address the issues of education, concerns of education, present development of education at different stages of education, maybe school education, maybe higher education, maybe teacher education, maybe pedagogy, maybe other types of development also, maybe assessment and evaluation, okay. The assessment practices that we do in the school system, it may be continuous assessment, it may be termed assessment, it may be formative, or it may be summative. Nowadays we are using the terminologies just like assessment for learning, assessment of learning, and what is the very concept of it, how the school is using this concept, how assessment is now an integrated part of every teaching learning process. So all these things are very pertinent issues that will help you to select a good research problem. And now let me to invite Professor Das to just highlight some of the issues that what are the different things they're supposed to address, particularly in the introduction when they prepare a research proposal. Then of course you will also discuss about the delimitation of the study.
You see, when you write the introduction to your problem, research problem, there should be three major things that should form the part of your introduction. That the first thing that your own experience as a researcher about that problem. What is the experience? Why do you really intend to conduct a study on that problem? Have you got some kind of experience from the field, or from kind of readings, from kind of interaction, from some kind of exposure to the system? So the first thing that your experience, and that experience doesn't happen in any vacuum. It happens in a context. That's why it's said that context of the study. What context you are going to study your problem? Is it a school context? Is it a college context or a university context? Even if it is a school context, is it in a rural context or urban context, tribal context? What is the context? That context also should form the part of your introductory discussion. Then when you take up any problem, research problem, whether it is related to learning or management of education or evaluation, assessment, student assessment, classroom teaching, methods, then use of ICT, use of technology, media or ICT, or it may be related to online learning as we experience today. Okay? If you are getting some kind of experience related to all these fields of education, so you have to bring in some kind of theoretical understanding related to that problem.
Yes.
If at all there are some kind of theoretical literature, understanding available in some books, in some other kinds of literature, even now it is very much easy that any kind of research problem, if you want to have some kind of understanding about the theory behind all these activities, all these problems, then you can get it on the internet through some kind of search engine like Google. So you have to bring in some kind of theoretical understanding that can club with your personal experience. The third major dimension of writing an effective introduction is to bring in your empirical findings of previous studies. Suppose you are going to carry out a research, let us say, online learning. The effectiveness of online learning, what is happening today. So, have there been any study conducted in this area? If yes, what are the research findings? And vis-a-vis, you have to examine these research findings vis-a-vis your research problem. Everything is connected in a research work. Nothing is just haphazard, unsystematic. So you have to only study those research problems or research studies which are connected to your own research problem. And then in the introductory part, you have to have the narration of your experience, of theory, of findings of earlier studies, then build up some kind of argument for your own research problem. Based on all these things, you build up some kind of argument for your research problem. And this argument can be deduced from the research gaps generated out of the research studies that you have conducted or that you have referred to. Okay? Now the question is, based on this introductory part, you come to the kind of research questions based on the research problem, the context of research, what type of research questions you want to address through your study. Through your study, what kind of research questions you are going to address too. So, you have to raise some research questions vis-a-vis the research problem. And this research question must be clear enough to address your issues and come to the conclusion. These research questions in our MES-016, we have discussed how to really formulate research questions. They can be formulated in different forms. So, those different forms you can adapt and formulate your research questions. And research questions, they will give you some kind of direction to formulate or to state your objectives of the study. Objectives of the study, they flow from the research questions. Unless you raise research questions, how can you really write your objectives? And objectives which flow from the research questions, they give you some kind of direction to the kind of the methodology of the study will be formulated, will be conceptualized. So, these objectives must be formulated along with your research question. But the most important thing when we talk of research questions or objectives, we have to be clear about the nature of the problem. The nature of the problem in terms of variables. What type of variables are involved in the problem to be studied? As you know, there are variables like independent variable, dependent variables, intervening variables. All these variables are there. If at all you are going for an experimental study, what is this independent variable? What are the dependent variables? What are the intervening variables? They have to be specified as part of your proposal. If at all you are going for some kind of descriptive study, then this the type of variables you are going to study. There also you can describe. Sometimes why these variables, they are of great importance, and the nature of these variables in your problem, they can be also arrived at from the earlier studies conducted in that area. So, variables you can draw from the earlier studies, you can draw the inferences about the kind of methodology. So, many things you can draw from your past research reviews or related studies. So, all these about how to write your introduction part, how to write your research question, how to write your objectives, how to identify your variables, and also examine the kind of relationship or the kind of interaction all these variables they have among themselves, and also you mention as part of your objectives.
Yes, Professor Das, you have already given a context starting from introduction part of your research proposal. In the introduction, mostly you will be providing a theoretical construct of the research problem that you have selected, and mostly it will address the variables that you have included in your study. It may be if the variable is achievement or intelligence or creativity or aptitude. So, whatever variable that you have addressed in your research problem. So, here there is the need that you have to explain about that variable, okay, the concept of that variable and how that variable works for developing the other variable, how that variable is related with other variable. I mean to say, just like achievement and intelligence. So, how achievement, how intelligence helps for achievement, what type of relationship between achievement and intelligence exists. So, all such things that you have to address in the introduction, and Professor Das also explained starting from the variable, further what are the research questions are in your mind. So, when you will go through the review of related literature and when you will engage yourself to understand the very concept of variable, the theoretical construct of the variable, then definitely many questions will come to your mind, and you can find out whether these questions have already addressed in earlier research or not. And if the questions are not earlier addressed in the earlier researches, then you can include that questions in your research. And further, Professor Das also explained that how to link objectives with the research questions. You have certain research questions, and basing upon the research questions, you have stated, you have developed certain objectives of your study, and further basing upon the objectives, you can develop certain inferences if there is the necessity, and with many a time without inferences also you can conduct your study. So a very good linking sir has already given, starting from variable to questions, then from questions to objective, and from objective to draw certain inferences and to conduct the study. Now let me to focus upon that when you select a research problem, how you can delimit it. जो शोध समस्या आप सिलेक्ट किए हैं, वो शोध समस्या को आप सीमांकन कैसे करें. Okay, I have already said that if you go through the research problem, it seems like as if you are addressing a very large area, and many a time it is not possible, it is not feasible to conduct the study within a few months in a large area. So that's why there is the system, there is the process in conducting the research, particularly in master dissertation and PhD, that is delimitation of the study. You can delimit, आप अपना अध्ययन को, आप अपना समस्या को, आपका शोध को सीमांकन कर सकते हैं, एक सीमा के तहत उसे रख सकते हैं और उसी सीमा में आप अपना काम कर सकते हैं. Just like how you can delimit your study, just like a study can be delimited on the basis of areas covered. Let your study is covering the entire state. Okay, so many a time it is not possible to conduct study taking the entire state. Okay, because so far as population is concerned, so far as the subjects are concerned, you will find that the area is large and it includes thousands of students, you can say thousands of teachers, and your population is very large. So what you can do from a state, you can delimit your study to let 5 or 10% of the district, let 1 or 2 district. So you can focus your study on a particular district or any 2 district. And if your problem is addressing the area that is a district, and further it is also not possible to conduct the study taking the population of the entire district, let all the secondary school students in a district, it is not simply possible. So what you can do, you can just delimit the population or delimit the area from a district to certain tahsil, from a district to certain blocks. Let in a district 10 blocks are there or 10 tahsils are there. So what you can do, randomly you can select 1 or 2 tahsils. Okay, so you can here delimit your study so far as area is concerned, and further so far as population is concerned, when you are delimiting the area, then automatically you are also delimiting the population. Okay, so friends, mostly when we talk about delimitation, we are focusing upon delimiting the geographical area, and we are focusing upon a very micro area, a very small area where we can directly interact with our subjects, directly interact with the sample. In education, it may be, if the problem is related with the school education, it may be the students, it may be the teachers. If it is related to community, it may be the parents, it may be the community member. And if it is related to the teaching learning process that are being conducted in the school or in higher education system, you can take the students, you can take the teacher, you can take the principals, okay, the HOS, head of the school. So such types of things you can also do in your study. So that's why there is the process in research that you can delimit your study. Though your study is focusing, is addressing a large area, but you can delimit it to a researchable form. Further, let me to focus upon how to write the review of related literature. I'm just going through some of the important points. You can go through on your screen. studies conducted earlier on the field needs to be analyzed. The studies that have been conducted earlier, you have to analyze it, and by analyzing the earlier studies, you can establish a gap of research findings need to be finding out or need to be addressed in your study. And rationale of the present study or justification of the present study, that can be established where you will be analyzing the review of related literature, the earlier findings that have been conducted earlier. The review of related literature should be organized in the chronology of the study conducted earlier to the present study. That means the studies that have been conducted earlier, that should take the first place when you are organizing the review of related literature, when you are analyzing the review of related literature, and further the recent studies, the current studies that have been conducted, it should come later. So this is the chronology that you have to maintain. Then a brief analysis of review of related literature you are supposed to do. Only writing review of related literature is not enough. Rather, you have to discuss it, you have to analyze it. And when you will discuss, when you will analyze the review of related literature, so far as findings are concerned, then definitely you can establish certain gap. And that gap will help you to understand your research problem and how your research problem will bridge that gap. Okay, so that is the main purpose of review of related literature. And further, establishing justification and rationale of the study. Sir has already said that every study, every research problem that we select for doing our MA education dissertation work, it should be certain justification should be there, certain rationale should be there. It means it should directly address the issues of education, okay, issues of pedagogy, issues of teaching and learning, issues of education system, issues of the development of education, issues of the recommendations that has been given in different committees and commissions. I have already said that in National Education Policy as well as the National Curriculum Framework. So all such issues that are addressed in the documents, in the policies, that should be somehow addressed in your study. And further, by justifying the gap of the research findings analyzed from the review of related literature, you can justify your study. Then justifying the depth of researches conducted in the area. Many a time you will find that few studies have been conducted. Sir was talking about the online education system. So far as the massive open online course is concerned, in our country you will find that SWAYAM is getting implemented in a very large scale. Okay, millions of students are pursuing small books, massive open online course, small online courses. So this is the current development, you can say. So many research, you can conduct a study on such areas. So that's why here, if studies have not conducted or few studies have been conducted in an area, there is the need to conduct more studies. So in this way, you can also justify your study. And by establishing the newness, the innovativeness, that what are the different new things that you are going to address in your study, in this way, you can develop certain rationality, certain justification of your study. And Sir has already discussed about the research questions. I am not going through detail about the research questions, as I have already said that when you are going to conduct a study, definitely certain research questions are in your mind. And many a time you will find that when you will go through the review of related literature, the earlier studies, if you will go through the suggestion section, the recommendation section, from there you will find certain questions they have asked, certain suggestions they have asked. Okay, so basing upon this, you can also state certain questions for conducting the study. And with the research questions, Sir has also discussed about the research objectives. As I have already said that every research is a systematic work, is a scientific work. So that's why without objective we cannot conduct a study. So that's why you have to state certain objectives for conducting your study that will provide you really a direction for doing the study. Go through the handbook on dissertation work. This has been explained with examples, by putting certain examples of research questions, how the research questions, research problems, how the research questions have been stated relating to the research problem, and how the objectives have been written, have been developed relating with the research questions. That will help you a lot.
Examples of proposal.
Yes, certain examples examples of proposal is also given in this handbook, that you are supposed to go through it. And so far as hypothesis is concerned, I have already said that if certain inference you are going to develop, going to start from your study, you can go for certain hypothesis. And if it is a type of explorative study, that means no studies have been conducted and you are not getting any idea, any clear-cut idea that in what direction the findings will go. If you are not getting a clear-cut idea about the result, about the findings of your study, and if no studies have been conducted earlier, then without a hypothesis you can also conduct a study. But if sufficient evidences are there from the related literature, and if certain inferences you have already developed, then definitely you should go for certain hypothesis. And if it is mostly a quantitative study, sir has already said that you can develop hypothesis in directional way or in the non-directional way. It may be a research hypothesis or it may be a null hypothesis. You should go through the research educational research course, that is MES-016, and you will find dedicated chapters, dedicated unit about hypothesis. So we have discussed about the very concept of hypothesis, different types of hypothesis, and we have also discussed that how you can state hypothesis, how you can write a null hypothesis, a statistical hypothesis, a directional hypothesis. That will equally help you to state hypothesis in your study. And further, so far as research methodology is concerned or research design is concerned, it addresses many components. Just like there is the use of specific research methodology in your research proposal, that what particular research method that you will be using, whether it is a survey method, it is an experimental research method, or it is a type of philosophical research, it is a type of historical research, that also you will be addressing in your research proposal. Then so far as research methodology is concerned, you have to define the population, you have to define the area, and further you have to define the sample. Okay, so what process, what techniques you will be using for selecting sample from the population, that is also another important part of your research proposal. Then further, what type of tools that you will be using for collecting data, for preparing the tools, and whether it is a standardized one or whether it is a self-made that you have to explain, that you have to write. Then what techniques you will be using to analyze data, what statistical technique if it is a quantitative study. And further, the process of data analysis you have to explain. You have to, particularly in a very clear-cut way, you have to mention that how you will analyze the data, whether you will be using the tables, figures to organize the data and to interpret it, and how you will test the hypothesis also, that you have to explain. And further, the educational implications, I have already said that how the findings of your study will really help you to the wider society, to the community, to different stakeholders for their development. Okay, so that also another important part of your research proposal, that is implications of your study. And references, I have already said that the resources that you have used, it may be books, it may be encyclopedia, journals, or many other research publications that you have followed, that you have used for preparing the research proposal, that also being a part of your research proposal. Now, very briefly, just point out that how you will prepare the research report. There is the paucity of time, so that's why I'm just going through the points. You can develop your research report in 3 sections, that is preliminary section, main body of the research, then a reference section. In the preliminary section, mostly the title page already you have discussed, then forwarding letter, preface or an acknowledgement you can give, then table of content, list of tables, list of figures, and abbreviation used you can include in the preliminary section. And in the main body of the report, you can develop it in 6 chapters. Chapter 1 is introduction, chapter 2 is review of related literature, chapter 3 is research methodology, chapter 4 is data analysis and interpretation, chapter 5 is finding and discussion of the study, and chapter 6 is summary and conclusion. And the third section, that is the reference section, it includes bibliography. So all the references that you have used for preparing the research report, that you have to write at the end of your study, end of the report. Then appendices, the tools and techniques, the questionnaire and other types of tools that you have used, you have to make a list of it at the end in the reference section of your report. then if any photographs you have taken, that also you can include. So friends, we will be taking many more sessions later on to discuss about the detailed mechanism, detailed strategy for writing the research report. Today in two different sessions in last 2 hours, we have discussed about
everything in this time.
so everything is there in the handbook of the dissertation work. Definitely go through it. And we have discussed about the dissertation components, its objectives, its operational issues. Then we have discussed the evaluation aspect of the dissertation, and further we have also discussed about how we will prepare the research report, research proposal, dissertation proposal, and further after conducting the study how we will write the research report. So I must thank to Professor N.K. Das that he has given his expertise, experience about this dissertation component of MA education program, and hopefully you must have benefited and must have gone through that how we will pursue this dissertation course, and in future we will be taking many more sessions on different components of your research, different components of your dissertation work. All the best to all our learners who are pursuing the dissertation work and who have enrolled in this MA education program. Thank you.